Right, concentrate, calm. We're singing in the rain.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
De Niro, when he's fixing the telly and he's eating a sandwich and he's talking to Joe Pesci who's on the sofa and he's like, "You my wife, my fucking wife," rah, 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 rah. And he's like doing three things at once, where he's like having this thing about that and he's fixing the telly, he's got this mad sandwich in his mouth.
He really has this energy about him. The things that he points out and describes, it's not like what we saw with Anne Hathaway, where it's like, this stood out to me and was interesting to me. It's more like, this was happening, the full experience of it.
Oh my God, I've got to tell you this.
Come on.
So I was in Ibiza, yeah? I was in Ibiza, yeah, with the lads in Ibiza. No, with my mate in Ibiza. And I only bump into the real Ronaldo.
It was him talking about what it felt like, but it wasn't in an emotional way. It was in a lot of these like concrete sensations. It was almost like I could watch what he was kind of immersing himself in the moment.
We walked away and his mate popped over, right? Gives a little tap on the shoulder and goes, "Do you want to meet Ronaldo?" We're like, yeah,
sweet.
We are together. He was like, "Tamo junto, Matt, tamo junto."
You could see the scene.
I could feel the sensation of what the energy and the vibe must have felt like when he was there.
I noticed too, he's very chill, but then when he was telling the story, suddenly he starts like acting it out and bringing the energy and being like, he was tapping me like this. He knows how to turn that volume up.
When I got the role, I paced around the room for about 3 days because I didn't know what to do, so I'd sort of just get up and then I'd come back and then I'd sit down and then I'd watch a bit of TV and I can't really sit still at the best of times and I have to listen to like Rain on Leaves to get through it.
Rain on leaves?
Rain on leaves. Just like it raining on the leaves.
Something about a sensory experience. It's interesting how he can use that to fixate on to help himself.
Did you pick a side?
Of course I have. I mean, yeah, of course I have one. Black. But more importantly, did you pick a side?
Yes, my side is the dragon side because
How many clips have we watched? I feel like maybe 4 or 5 short ones, and I haven't barely heard him talk about himself. He answers the question, but then he tries to then bring energy or attention into something else. That's a pattern I keep seeing. That's why it's hard to almost get more, because he just keeps talking about other things that aren't here.
Because it's sort of an iconic part of our culture, and like my granddad knows about it, my dad knows about it, and I'm sort of taking that on. That's my responsibility. It's exciting, nerve-wracking, exciting. Stops me sleeping.
How good is he at describing his feelings? It's just like,
oh, it's weird, does weird things to you.
Weird. It's just weird, that's all. I don't think we're saying he's a thinker, but we're saying he's not someone that has a large vocabulary or pool of expression to identify his own personal feelings. Or checking in with his feelings a lot. He's paying attention to some feelings. It's just describing the texture and color of his personal emotions.
his own feelings. Yeah, no.
You seem, again, very kind, very well put together. Certainly we see you on that show. Yeah, very polite, but then...
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, you know, look, I don't want to kind of speculate too much, but yeah, no, he's brilliant.
People awareness, the appropriateness of it, or like how is that going to look outside?
I mean, at first they hated me because, you know, kind of David was so popular and everyone hated me and I thought, oh God, I'm just going to die. And it was an awful thing. But then eventually I hope that they've now accepted me.
When he was talking about taking the doctor role, everyone was really mad at me at first. At first I was like freaking out about that.
But you know, the great thing about that show is that they love or they hate their doctor. So everyone has their doctor. And to some people, I will be their doctor.
And then he's like, but I can sort of see where they're coming from. He's like empathizing with why they're feeling what they're feeling. The other part was when he got almost suspended.
I told my dad and he laughed.
Okay.
And I thought I had him on side. And then I was very nonchalant about it. And then my dad was like, oi, rein it in, sort it out. You don't get suspended. You know?
My dad said this, and I thought I was on his good side. But then he said this. He's like reading a little bit of that, like, where do I stand with people? How are they seeing me? And then like, what's my part in that? Are there ways I can fix that?
Right, concentrate, calm. We're singing in the rain.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Singing in the rain. This is the hammerhead coming up. It's like an angry shark. Oh, yeah.
It's actually quite nicely done in.
Nice. That was pretty good. That's interesting how he was like talking it through with himself.
It's very natural for him to kind of bring up an analogy very quickly. I mean, he's driving and he looks pretty stressed. And the only way he can think of how to describe what is like going on right now, the information that he can give you is like, this hammerhead is like an angry shark. This is what it's like in my head right now.
It was like firing an arrow and having no target a bit. The arrow just keeps going and you don't ever know if it's going to hit something.
He started singing in the rain, and it just reminded me again of when he said when he can't sit still, he has to put on sort of sound to calm him down. So when you've got S and N in the middle, you're kind of turning them both on and off at the same time. EJs and IPs, the level of like taking on different types of information in the moment, it's a little bit easier because they can do the sensing information and the intuitive information, and then it looks different for each type. But what you see with Matt is how he can almost like drive and take on a lot of information, but also kind of make these quick analogies and then kind of guess ahead and anticipate what to do next. And then also like then take in a little more of like these sensory experiences to help calm him down, humming to himself, to like get into some sort of like grounded experience. You can see there's a lot of like ability to take in a lot of information at the same time in a very stressful situation where you're like having to, drive a car really fast.
But what makes a villain? I don't know. People that commit acts that are villainous, I suppose.
Define that.
What kind of player do you believe Demon is? Which
Ah.
role? Yeah.
That's the best question I've been asked all day. Grazie mille.
There does seem to be a lot of focusing on almost like riding the wave of the social interaction and having fun with playing with that and interacting with that.
When you see SE and FE together, there's a lot of like awareness for bringing in a feeling and an energy and a vibe for the outside group. Like, what do we need to take care of?
Yeah.
That's the best question I've been asked all day. He'd be a centre forward and he'd be knocking in, or maybe he'd be like a left winger. Be either a centre forward or left winger. He'd be like Claudio Kinesia meets Christian Vieri. There's a touch of Maradona. There's
really
wildness of spirit, but banging in goals with his long hair. That's a great question. I think he'd be a centre
That
forward.
was so funny.
Whoa. I like how he was actually really having fun. Building that forward, trajectorying forward and
Building
to the
a vision
point,
or a picture.
it would be like this and this combined, and even to the level where like he would be like this flapping with his hair would be flapping like this.
Yeah.
Like it's a real visual.
Isn't that funny if you put the two questions together and the way he reacts? What is your opinion of a villain? I don't know. And then when she's like, what kind of player do you believe this person is? Well, I think he would be like this, and then blah, 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 blah. I've thought about what this possibility is. If you ask me to imagine something ahead about something that I've enjoyed playing in my head, oh, here you go.
To me, does it seem more like Effie at the top, like being aware of people responsibility, or Effie a little bit lower? Like, I see how I can make people feel and why I should pay attention to that, but I also want to be myself and do what makes sense to me.
And you think how many people go and watch the football, and the theatre turns over more money a year than football. It's a grave concern, and I think we've got to look after that community and support it. Iconic kind of status that Robin Hood or Sherlock Holmes, and I'm sort of taking that on. That's my responsibility. It's exciting.
I'm seeing it a little bit more towards the feeling responsibility. Also, he doesn't talk about himself.
He does not talk
No,
about what he thinks.
He just talks about what he's doing and then how other people see him. If he is an ENFJ, SE is the tool to be able to help people feel the energy, feel better. No, there is a value in like bring the energy now. You can see it when he's turning that on and off. Oh yeah. And then suddenly when it's like he knows it's the right time. He turns it on. He's like, I love that. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
I think when extroverted feeling is described, people easily find the most easiest experience that they've had with extroverted feeling. So most of the time, extroverted feeling is associated with they're the nice people that take care of everyone. You almost associate it with like
A
the
nurse,
typical
hospitality.
nurse who's taking care of everyone, like the mum. But he's a guy. So how is a guy with extroverted feeling in a world where he wants to maybe also be accepted by people, but he's very aware of the feeling stuff, and men qualify things differently. They're not all like emotionally having talks with each other about how things feel. And there's a lot more like having to show up or pump each other up a little bit if you're in that context, right?
Nice.
So like what is extroverted feeling for different people? What you'll find with extroverted feeling with men is sometimes they have a different role in life, so extroverted feeling shows up differently.
What the I've never had McDonald's before. I have like a very specific goal that I have to reach before I have McDonald's. Holy, no.
Because obviously, it's like any secret. You sort of, it bubbles
And
up.
then the next time I see him is minutes before the cameras are rolling and we're shooting.